The stone floor felt different under Captain Marcus Hale's boots that morning. He had walked the same corridor for 12 years, protecting the royal family through quiet nights and ceremonial days. But today, something was wrong. The echo of his footsteps sounded hollow. To hollow, Marcus stopped mid-stride. The other guards continued their patrol, their boots creating the familiar rhythm against ancient stone. But his ears caught something else. Space where there should be solid ground. An emptiness beneath his feet. He knelt down slowly, pressing his gloved hand against the cold floor. The stone wobbled just slightly. Just enough, Captain. Lieutenant Sarah Chen approached from behind, concern crossing her face. Is everything all right? Marcus looked up at her, then back at the stone. How long have you served in this palace, Chen? 5 years, sir. And in those 5 years, have you ever seen maintenance work done on this corridor? Chen thought for a moment. No, sir. Never. If you're finding this story gripping, consider subscribing. We share the most powerful true stories that will leave you speechless. Marcus pulled out his knife and carefully traced the edges of the loose stone. Centuries of dust came away in small clouds. The stone was part of a larger pattern, he realized. A square section, roughly 3 feet across. His pulse quickened. Chen, I need you to fetch the palace architect. Quietly. Don't alarm anyone, sir. What is it? I don't know yet, but something's been hidden here. Something old. As Chen disappeared. Down the corridor, Marcus examined the surrounding stones. Small markings. Worn almost smooth by time, but there. Symbols he didn't recognize. His hand trembled slightly as he traced them. In 12 years of protecting this palace, walking these halls every single day, he had never noticed them. The architect, an elderly man named Thomas Gray, arrived within minutes. His eyes widened when he saw what Marcus had found. Dear God, Thomas whispered, kneeling beside the captain. This shouldn't be here. According to every blueprint, every record we have, this corridor is solid foundation. There's nothing beneath it. Nothing at all. But there is something, Marcus said quietly. I can hear it. Thomas pulled out a small metal tool and tapped the stone. The sound rang hollow, unmistakable. He tapped the adjacent stones, solid, dense, normal. But this section sang with emptiness. We need to open it, Marcus said. Thomas looked at him with fear in his ancient eyes. Captain, if this isn't on any record, if no one knows about this, there's a reason it was hidden. Some secrets are buried for good cause. Marcus thought of the royal family sleeping upstairs. King Edward, Queen Catherine, their children. His duty was their safety above all else. And some secrets, Marcus replied, become threats the moment they're forgotten. 2 hours later, they had carefully removed the stones. Beneath them lay darkness, a shaft descending into blackness. Cut stone walls. Narrow steps leading down into nothing, and the smell that rose from below made both men step back. Old air, earth, and something else. Something that didn't belong in a palace built for light and life. Marcus stared into the darkness. Every instinct told him to seal it back up, to replace the stones and forget what he'd found. But his duty demanded otherwise. I'm going down, he said. Thomas grabbed his arm. Captain, please. Let me contact the Historical Society first. Let me research this properly. If there's a passage leading under the palace, I need to know where it goes. Now, Marcus pulled out his flashlight. Besides, whoever built this wanted it forgotten. That means no records exist, not ones we can trust. He tested the first stone step. It held firm despite its age. The air from below felt cold against his face. Wrong cold, like opening a tomb. Lieutenant Chen appeared at the entrance with 2 other guards. Sir, we've secured the corridor. No one will disturb you. Marcus nodded. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, seal this entrance and alert the king's personal security. Tell them there's a breach in the palace foundation. Chun's face went pale. A breach, sir? What do you think this is? I think someone built a tunnel under the throne room, Marcus said quietly. And I think we need to know who and why. He descended into darkness. The stone steps wound downward in a tight spiral. Marcus counted 42 steps before the passage leveled out. His flashlight beam cut through absolute blackness, revealing a tunnel carved through raw earth and stone. Professional work, not a hasty escape route. This took time. Planning resources, the tunnel extended forward into darkness. Support beams lined the ceiling, ancient wood that somehow still held. Marcus touched one. Solid. Recently reinforced. His blood went cold. This tunnel was old, but someone had been maintaining it. He moved forward slowly, every sense alert. The tunnel was just wide enough for one person. The floor remained dirt but packed hard by many footsteps over many years. How many people knew about this? How many had walked this path? After 50 meters, the tunnel split into two directions. Marcus paused, shining his light down each path. The left passage looked older, less maintained. The right showed fresh footprints in the dust. Recent footprints, he followed the right passage, his hand moving to his weapon. The tunnel sloped upward now, and voices echoed from somewhere ahead, distant, muffled by earth and stone. Marcus killed his flashlight and moved forward in darkness, using his hand against the wall for guidance. The voices grew clearer. Men, at least 3 of them, speaking in low tones. The shipment arrives Thursday, the same time, same place. And the guard rotations changed. The new captain's more alert than the last one. We might need to accelerate the timeline. Marcus's jaw clenched. They were talking about him, about his security changes. He inched forward until faint light appeared ahead. Another shaft, this one leading upward. Voices came from above. He pressed himself against the wall and listened. Does anyone suspect? No. The family trusts us completely. They've never questioned our presence. By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late. And the documents? Secured. Everything we need to prove legitimacy. The moment we expose them, the throne falls. Marcus felt his heart pounding. Expose who? The royal family? What documents? The king believes he's safe behind his guards and his walls, another voice said. He doesn't know half his trusted staff answers to us. He doesn't know we've been underneath him this entire time. Footsteps above. Movement. The voices faded as the men walked away. Marcus waited in darkness, his mind racing. This wasn't just a hidden tunnel. This was treason. A conspiracy operating beneath the palace itself, using passages no one remembered existed. How deep did this go? How many people were involved? He retreated carefully back through the tunnel, memorizing every turn. When he finally emerged into the corridor above, Thomas and Chen rushed forward. Captain, thank God. We were about to seal it, Marcus said. Seal it now, and say nothing to anyone. Sir, Chen looked confused. Marcus grabbed her shoulder. That's an order, Lieutenant. No one hears about this. Not the other guards. Not your friends. No one. Because if conspirators had infiltrated the palace staff, anyone could be part of this. Anyone at all? Marcus stood in his private office, the door locked, curtains drawn. Sleep hadn't come the previous night. Every footstep in the corridor made him reach for his weapon. Every shadow held potential threat. He spread out the palace blueprints across his desk. Official documents dating back 200 years. Clean, precise, professional, and completely useless. None of them showed the tunnel. None of them hinted at underground passages. Either the architects who built them kept it secret, or someone had altered every record. A soft knock at his door. 3 taps. Chen's signal. Enter. She slipped inside quickly, closing the door behind her. Her face was tight with tension. Sir, I did what you asked. Watched the staff. Looked for unusual patterns. And 3 palace administrators have been leaving their quarters after midnight. Separately, different nights. But all heading in the same direction. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Where? The East Wing storage. Old section. No one goes there anymore. The East Wing, where the tunnel's second passage led? Marcus pulled out a map and marked the location. If the conspirators were using that entrance, it meant they had free access to the palace foundations. There's something else, Chen said quietly. I checked the personnel records. All 3 administrators were hired by Lord Chancellor Whitmore. personally recommended by him, Lord Whitmore. Second most powerful man in the kingdom. The king's closest advisor for 15 years, trusted, respected, beyond suspicion, or perfectly positioned. Chen, I need you to do something dangerous, Marcus said. I need you to follow them tonight. See where they go? But stay hidden. If they catch you, I understand, sir. If anything happens to you, I'll have failed my duty twice over. Once to the king, once to you. Chen met his eyes steadily. Permission to speak freely? Granted, sir. In 5 years I've never seen you afraid. Not during the assassination attempt. Not during the riots. But you're afraid now. That tells me this is bigger than we know. She was right. Marcus had faced armed intruders, bomb threats, crowds of angry protesters. But this was different. This enemy was invisible, embedded, patient. Be careful, Lieutenant. These people have had years to plan whatever they're planning. They won't hesitate to eliminate obstacles. That night, Marcus took the king's personal guard duty himself. He stood outside the royal bedchamber, watching every shadow, questioning every sound. King Edward had noticed his tension during dinner, but said nothing. The Queen had looked at him with concern. They trusted him to protect them. But how could he protect them from threats living inside their own walls? At 2 in the morning, his radio crackled. Chen's voice barely a whisper. Captain, you need to hear this. She had placed a listening device near the East Wing storage entrance. Marcus listened through his earpiece, his voices filtered through.
Oh.
Thursday confirmed. The foreign delegation arrives at noon. That's our window. The documents are ready. Birth records, marriage certificates, all proving the king's illegitimate claim to the throne. By nightfall, the entire kingdom will know the truth.
Ow.
Marcus felt cold wash over him. They were planning to expose the king as illegitimate. Whether true or not, the accusation alone would destroy the monarchy. Civil war, chaos, bloodshed, and the family. A pause. Then a voice Marcus recognized. A voice that made his blood freeze. They'll be removed. Permanently. Can't have them contesting the evidence, Lord Whitmore. Speaking calmly about murdering the royal family. The guards? Most are loyal to the crown, not to us. They'll resist. Which is why the foreign soldiers will handle it. They arrive hidden in the delegation's transport. 50 armed men. More than enough? Marcus pulled the earpiece out, his hands shaking. Thursday, tomorrow, they were going to do this. Tomorrow, he had less than 12 hours to stop a coup. But who could he trust? Whitmore controlled palace security. The staff? The administrators. Going through official channels would alert the conspirators immediately. He needed proof. Evidence so clear that even Whitmore's allies couldn't deny it. And he needed it before dawn. Marcus made his decision. He would go back into the tunnel, follow it to wherever those men gathered. Record everything, names, faces, plans, and then he would take it directly to the king. He left his post, against every regulation he'd sworn to uphold. But protecting the king meant more than standing at his door. Sometimes it meant descending into darkness alone. The stones came away easier this time. Marcus had memorized their pattern. Within minutes, he descended into the tunnel again, this time carrying a camera and recording equipment. The darkness felt heavier now, more threatening, because now he knew what lived within it. He moved through the passage quickly, counting steps, marking turns. The tunnel system was larger than he'd first realized. Passages branched off in multiple directions, some leading toward the palace foundations, others extending outward toward the city. How long had they been building this? Decades. Generations. The right passage brought him to a wooden door. Light seeped through the cracks. Voices murmured beyond. Marcus pressed his ear against the wood. 50 men isn't enough. The royal guard is better trained than anticipated, and we'll need to ensure the captain is eliminated first. Marcus Hale. Remove him, and the others will fall into confusion. Marcus's jaw tightened. They knew his name, had probably been watching him for weeks. What about the Queen? The children. Collateral damage. The kingdom will mourn them, yes. But they'll accept new leadership once we expose the truth about Edward's bloodline. And if the documents aren't enough, they will be. We've spent 15 years building this case. Birth records showing Edward's father had another legitimate heir. Marriage certificates proving Edward's mother was never legally wed. Property deeds demonstrating the true royal line. It's unshakable. Marcus activated his camera, holding it to a crack in the door. The room beyond was large, carved from earth and stone. 20 men sat around a long table. Some wore palace uniforms. Others looked like merchants, nobles, common workers, and at the head of the table sat Lord Whitmore, his face calm and confident. "Gentlemen," Whitmore said, "tomorrow we restore the rightful monarchy. Tomorrow we correct a 2-century-old mistake. Some will call us traitors. History will call us heroes." Marcus recorded everything. Every face. Every word. Evidence that would be undeniable. Then Whitmore looked directly at the door. "Captain Hale, we know you're there. Please, join us." Marcus's blood turned to ice. How did the door swung open from the inside? 2 armed men grabbed Marcus before he could react, slamming him against the wall. The camera clattered to the ground, lens cracking. Whitmore stood slowly, walking toward him with a sad smile. 12 years of loyal service, Captain. I had hoped you wouldn't discover us until it was too late. You've put me in a difficult position. Akaz struggled against the men holding him. The king trusts you. The entire kingdom trusts you. And you're planning to murder children? I'm planning to save this kingdom, Whitmore said coldly. Edward's grandfather stole the throne through deception and murder. The true heir was cast out, his line forgotten. Everything we've built since then is built on lies. So you'll build it on more lies. More murder? I'll build it on truth. The documents are genuine, Captain. Edward has no legitimate claim. His children have no legitimate claim. The throne belongs to another bloodline. Marcus saw the conviction in Whitmore's eyes. The man truly believed he was righteous. That made him more dangerous than any simple traitor. His bloodline. Marcus demanded. Who's really behind this? Whitmore smiled. Mine. My ancestor was the rightful king. My family has waited 200 years for justice. Tomorrow, we claim what was stolen. It all made sense now. 15 years of patient service. Earning trust. Positioning allies. Building evidence. Whitmore had devoted his entire life to this moment. The king will never surrender, Marcus said. You'll have to kill him. And that will stain your rightful claim with royal blood. The king will be dead before he knows what's happening, Whitmore replied. The delegation arrives at noon. Hidden among them, 50 trained soldiers. They'll secure the palace in minutes. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it will be finished. He nodded to the men holding Marcus. Take him to the old chamber. Lock him there. We'll decide what to do with him after tomorrow. Marcus fought as they dragged him deeper into the tunnel. But they were too many, too strong. They threw him into a small stone chamber and slammed an iron door shut. Darkness consumed everything. He heard the lock turn. Footsteps retreating. Then silence. Marcus felt along the walls. Solid stone. No windows. No other exits. The door was thick iron, immovable. They'd locked him in what felt like a medieval cell, probably centuries old. He checked his watch. 3 a.m. 9 hours until the delegation arrived. 9 hours until 50 armed soldiers entered the palace, disguised as diplomats, and he was trapped underground with no way to warn anyone. Chen didn't know where he'd gone. The king still trusted Whitmore completely. The conspiracy was too large, too organized. Even if Marcus escaped, who would believe him without evidence? The camera was destroyed. His testimony would be his word against the Lord Chancellor's. He'd be arrested, dismissed, possibly executed for treason himself. But he couldn't give up. Not while the royal family slept upstairs. Aware that death was coming at noon, Marcus examined every inch of his cell in darkness, searching for weakness, for hope, for any way to save them. Hours passed in absolute darkness. Marcus worked methodically, feeling every stone, every crack, every surface of his prison. His fingers bled from scraping against rough stone, but he didn't stop. The walls were solid, the door immovable. But the floor felt different in one corner, slightly softer. Less compressed, he dug with his bare hands, pulling away packed earth. Inches down, his fingers hit something solid. Would a board maybe part of an old support beam? He worked it loose, splinters driving into his palms. The board came free. Beneath it, empty space. Another passage, older than the cell itself, probably abandoned and forgotten even by the conspirators. Marcus squeezed through the narrow opening, dropping into darkness below. He landed hard on stone, pain shooting through his ankle. Broken, sprained, it didn't matter. He pushed himself up and limped forward. This passage was different. Cruder, ancient. The air smelled of earth and decay. His hands found walls that crumbled at his touch, but it led somewhere. It had to. He checked his watch. 7 in the morning? 5 hours until the delegation. The passage wound upward in a slow spiral. Marcus climbed, ignoring the pain in his ankle, ignoring exhaustion. The air grew fresher. Light appeared ahead. Gray dawn light filtering through cracks in stone. He emerged into a collapsed section of old city wall. Outside the palace grounds entirely. Morning sun touched his face. He'd escaped, but he had no proof, no evidence. No way to expose Whitmore without looking like a madman. Marcus limped through the streets toward the palace gates. He'd go directly to the king. Tell him everything. If Edward didn't believe him, at least he'd tried. But as he approached, palace guards stopped him. Guards he didn't recognize. "Captain Hale," one said coldly. "You're under arrest for desertion and treason. Lord Whitmore reported you abandoned your post and attempted to access restricted areas without authorization." Marcus felt his heart sink. Whitmore had already moved against him, turned his own guards against him. "I need to speak to the king immediately." "There's a plot, the Lord Chancellor warned us you might say that." "Please, sir, don't make this harder than it needs to be." They surrounded him. 8 armed men. Marcus could fight, but what would that accomplish? Attacking royal guards would only prove Whitmore's accusations. They led him to the palace dungeons. Real dungeons, above ground, used for criminals and traitors. Ironic that the man trying to stop treason would be locked away as a traitor. The cell door closed. Marcus gripped the bars, watching guards walk away. He'd failed. In 9 hours of service, he'd never failed the royal family, until now. Time passed with agonizing slowness. Marcus heard the palace wake up. Servants moving about, guards changing shifts. Normal sounds of a normal day. A day that would end in bloodshed. Then, footsteps approaching. Light steps. Chen appeared at his cell, her face stricken.
"Captain, what happened?"
"They're saying you've gone mad. That you attacked Lord Whitmore." "Chen, listen carefully. Whitmore is planning a coup, today at noon. There are 50 soldiers hidden in the foreign delegation. They're going to kill the king and his family." Chen stared at him. Marcus saw the doubt in her eyes. The confusion. He sounded insane. "Sir Lord Whitmore has served faithfully for 15 years. He's been planning this for 15 years. There's a tunnel beneath the palace. I found it. I heard them planning everything. Chen, you have to believe me." She looked away. "The doctors are coming to evaluate you. They think the stress of command has, Lieutenant." Marcus gripped the bars. "You said you've never seen me afraid. You said that meant something. Look at me now. I'm terrified. Not for myself. For them. For the royal family. For everyone in this palace." Shen met his eyes. He saw her wavering. "Please," Marcus whispered. "You're the only person I can trust. If I'm wrong, I'll accept any punishment. But if I'm right and you do nothing, innocent people will die. Children will die." She stood silent for a long moment, then quietly, "What do you need me to do?" Hope surged through Marcus. "The tunnel entrance. The one we sealed. Reopen it. Follow it to the meeting chamber. You'll find evidence there. Documents, plans, something. Bring it to the king directly. No one else. Not the guards. Not the staff. Only him. If I'm caught, you'll be executed alongside me." "I know. I'm sorry for asking." Chen straightened her shoulders. "You've never given me an order that wasn't meant to protect people. I won't stop trusting that now." She disappeared before the guards noticed. Marcus sagged against the bars, exhausted in pain, but no longer alone. The morning wore on. Marcus counted minutes. Listened to palace sounds. Normal. Everything remained normal then. At 11 o'clock, raised voices echoed through the corridors, shouting, running footsteps. Alarms. The cell door burst open. King Edward himself stood there, flanked by royal guards Marcus recognized and trusted. The king's face was white with shock and fury. "Captain Hale," Edward said, "Chen showed me everything. The tunnels. The documents. Whitmore's written plans. We've arrested 20 conspirators already. But the delegation is arriving in 1 hour. We need you." Marcus stepped out of the cell, barely able to stand. "Your Majesty, they're bringing 50 armed soldiers. They'll strike the moment they're inside. Then we'll be ready for them." "Can you fight, Captain?" Marcus straightened, despite the pain. "Always, Your Majesty." The king gripped his shoulder. "For 12 years, you've protected my family. Today, you've saved us all." The palace transformed in minutes. What appeared normal to any observer became a carefully laid trap. Royal guards positioned themselves throughout the ceremonial hall, hidden behind columns and curtains. Archers took positions on upper balconies. The king's personal security surrounded the royal family, ready to evacuate them at the first sign of violence. Marcus stood beside the king, his ankle wrapped and braced, his uniform cleaned but blood-stained. He'd refused to leave. This was his duty. His responsibility. At noon precisely, the delegation arrived. Foreign dignitaries in ceremonial robes, all smiles and diplomatic pleasantries. And among them, exactly as Whitmore had planned, soldiers disguised as guards in attendance. Marcus counted 53 armed men, their weapons hidden but obvious to anyone who knew to look. Lord Whitmore stood beside the king, playing his role perfectly. His face showed nothing but loyal service. But when his eyes met Marcus's, something dark flickered there. Hatred, disbelief that his perfect plan had crumbled. The delegation leader approached the throne, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, we bring greetings from our kingdom and hope for continued peace between our nations." King Edward smiled graciously. "Peace is always welcome, though I wonder if all your attendants are truly necessary for a diplomatic visit." The delegation leader's smile faltered. "Your Majesty? The 53 soldiers hidden among your party, for instance, carrying swords beneath their robes, planning to kill me and my family the moment the ceremony concluded." Silence fell across the hall. The foreign soldiers tensed, hands moving toward weapons. Whitmore stepped forward quickly. "Your Majesty, surely there's been some misunderstanding." Silence. The king's voice cut like steel. "Lord Chancellor Whitmore, or should I say, Lord Chancellor of a throne that was never yours. You've spent 15 years in my service, planning my death, planting lies about my bloodline, building tunnels beneath my home." Whitmore's mask finally cracked. His face twisted with anger. "Your grandfather murdered my family and stole our crown. Everything you have belongs to me by right." "Your documents are forgeries," King Edward said calmly. "We had historians examine them within hours. Clever forgeries, I'll admit. 50 years in the making, but false nonetheless. My bloodline is legitimate. Yours lost the throne through betrayal and treason 3 centuries ago, not 2. Marcus saw Whitmore's hand move toward a hidden weapon. Marcus moved faster, grabbing the Lord Chancellor's wrist and forcing him to his knees. The foreign soldiers drew their weapons, but royal guards emerged from every shadow, arrows trained on each infiltrator, outnumbered, surrounded, trapped. "Your soldiers have a choice," the king announced. "Drop your weapons and live, or die defending a false cause led by a madman." One by one, swords clattered to the floor. The soldiers knew when a battle was lost before it began. Within the hour, every conspirator was in chains. The tunnels were sealed with concrete and steel. Documents detailing the entire plot were secured as evidence. The foreign kingdom's involvement would trigger diplomatic consequences that would echo for years. Marcus stood in the throne room as the last prisoner was led away. Chen approached, her uniform torn but her spirit unbroken. "We found 37 people involved within the palace alone," she reported. "Staff, guards, administrators, all recruited by Whitmore over 15 years, all believing his story about the stolen throne. How's the royal family? Safe. The children don't fully understand what happened. Her Majesty is shaken but strong." Marcus nodded slowly. His body ached. His hands were bandaged. His ankles screamed with every step, but everyone he'd sworn to protect was alive. The king approached them, his presence commanding even in the aftermath of attempted murder. "Captain Hale, Lieutenant Chen, you've both done more than duty required. You risked everything on faith and instinct. The kingdom owes you debts that can never be fully repaid." "We were just doing our jobs, Your Majesty," Marcus said. "No," the king shook his head. "You went far beyond that. You trusted each other when trust seemed impossible. You believed in truth when deception surrounded you. That's not just duty, Captain. That's courage." He turned to address the gathered guards, the servants, everyone who remained loyal. "For 15 years, betrayal lived beneath our feet. In our walls, at our dinner table, we never suspected because we believed in the goodness of those around us. Some will say that trust was foolish. I say it was necessary. A kingdom built on suspicion and fear is no kingdom at all." The Queen joined him, taking his hand. "We will rebuild that trust. We will heal. And we will remember that one guard, walking a corridor he'd walked thousands of times, heard something wrong, and refused to ignore it." Marcus felt Chen's hand on his shoulder, felt the eyes of every loyal guard upon him. He'd spent 12 years in quiet service, protecting people from threats he could see. Today he'd learned that the greatest threats often came from beneath, from within. From patience and planning and the slow corruption of trust. That night, Marcus walked the corridors one final time before sleep. His footsteps echoed against stone, solid stone. No hollow sounds. No hidden spaces, just honest walls in an honest palace. Protecting a family that had nearly been destroyed by buried secrets and forgotten darkness. He paused outside the royal children's chambers, listening to their peaceful breathing, alive, safe, unaware how close death had come. Chen joined him in the darkness. "Can't sleep either?" "Keep thinking about what Whitmore said, that his family waited 200 years for revenge. That's a long time to carry hatred." "Long enough to poison everything it touched," Chen agreed, "but it failed. Because one person refused to ignore what felt wrong." Marcus smiled slightly. One person and a very brave lieutenant who chose to trust him. They stood together in silence, 2 guards keeping watch over a palace that had almost fallen. Tomorrow, there would be investigations, trials, consequences. Foreign diplomacy would fracture. Trust would need to be rebuilt piece by piece. But tonight, the royal family slept safely. And sometimes, that was enough. Marcus pressed his hand against the stone wall. Solid, real. True, no more secrets buried beneath. No more darkness waiting below. Just the quiet strength of stone. And guards who refused to let that stone ring hollow, the throne would stand. The kingdom would heal. And somewhere deep in sealed tunnels, the echoes of a failed coup faded into silence, never to rise again. Because some secrets, once brought to light, lose all their power, and some guards refuse to let evil hide in shadows.